Hi, I'm Louis Cahill from Gink and Gasoline. I want to take a few minutes and talk to you about my saltwater 6-weight. The last few years I've been fishing a lot of 6-weights for bonefish down here in the Bahamas, and there's some really good reasons to do it. There are also some things you need to look out for, so I'm going to take a minute and go over the pluses and minuses of why you might think about adding a saltwater 6-weight to your arsenal. The real reason I like a 6-weight is because I can make a super delicate presentation with it. Bonefish are really spooky, and the most important thing is that you can get the fly in front of the fish without spooking them. On real flat, calm days, that can be a real challenge, and a 6-weight does it beautifully. But there's more to it than that. I really like the 6-weight because if I get a group of fish, let's say I've got 5 or 6 bonefish, and there's one really big fish, and then there are a bunch of small fish, you drop the fly out in front of that big fish, 9 times out of 10 the little fish runs in front of him and grabs it, and that's what you get stuck with, right? So I have found that with a 6-weight, I can put my fly much closer to that big fish, raising my odds that that's the fish I'm going to catch, right? So the first question people have is, well, what about fighting big fish on a 6-weight? Well, I'm here to tell you it's not a problem. You can put just as much pressure on a bonefish with a 6-weight as you can with an 8 if you know how to do it. And the trick is just to not lift your rod really high. Keep that rod 15 to 20 degrees off the line of the fish, and you're going to put just as much pressure on him. The real key is the reel, and I always upsize my reels for my 6-weights. I always put an 8-weight reel on my 6-weight. And I don't care if that reel is a little heavy. It's fine. I mean, this reel balances perfectly well with this rod. You can see that the tip raises a little bit, right? I don't care if a rod is a little heavy at the reel. What kills your action, kills your cast, is if the rod is tip heavy and drags down like this. But if the reel is a little bit heavy, it actually gives you a little more force coming through in your forward cast and helps you stop that thing nice, which makes a good tight loop, all right? So those are the advantages to fishing a 6-weight in saltwater. I'm going to talk a little bit about the disadvantages. The first disadvantage is you really have to know how to make a tight loop. I have found that a 6-weight handles the wind much better than you think if you know how to make a tight loop. And if you think about it, it makes sense. The way you make a fly line heavier is to put more material on it, which makes it bigger around, which means that 8-weight line is a lot thicker than this 6-weight line and has a lot more wind resistance. The 6-weight line cuts through the air more efficiently than the 8-weight line does. Here's the problem. If you can't throw a tight loop, if your casting stroke is sloppy, then you get away with it with an 8-weight. You get a little bit of leeway with that 8-weight. But the 6-weight, you really have to be able to make a nice, tight, clean loop. And that makes all the difference. This week, the wind's been blowing 15 to 20 miles an hour every day, and I've fished 6-weights every day. I've had no problem, caught plenty of fish on them. So you absolutely can put the fly into the wind with the 6-weight. And I should point out that I'm talking about saltwater 6-weights. I'm not talking about a 6-weight trout rod. Very, very different action. The one I'm holding in my hand right now is the Orvis Recon Saltwater 6, and I absolutely love this rod, and it's a great bargain at $600. So a lot of rod for the money. The other thing that you really have to pay attention to fishing a 6-weight is how you land fish. Is if you bring your line all the way to the tip top and you high stick that fish to try to reach out and grab the leader, the odds of breaking that rod are pretty good. You really have to focus on leaving 5 or 6 feet of line outside the rod and then reaching behind you, turning the reel away and reaching out and getting the leader. And that puts the bend in the butt section of the rod, not in the tip, and it will not break at that point. So that's really the ticket. Get out and get yourself a 6-weight. If you've got an 8-weight already and you're thinking about getting something a little lighter, I would encourage you to think about a good saltwater 6. It's not the only rod you should have for saltwater, but I think you'll find there are times that will absolutely put you on more fish, and I think it can put you on bigger fish. I hope that's helpful. Stay tuned to Gink and Gasoline for more fly fishing tips, tricks, and how-to.